combat, level progression, equipment, and endgame. I am your entertainer Vullgaren, and this is The Division vs Destiny. Shortly we will cover off the comparisons between the big player of the MMORPG shooter genre, Destiny, and the new guy on the block, The Division. Like and subscribe if you find this content informative, as I'll be doing follow-ups in the future. Without further ado, let's get started. Destiny is a first-person run-and-gun style of game, built around 3 weapon variations of primary, special and heavy, with several types of weapons in each category. Shooting and grenades aren't the only types of weapons, as there is a big focus on melee in Destiny, with each class and subclass having different varieties. Also, with each subclass there is a special ability that does different things and can often counter other classes' specials in PvP. These specials, if well used, can often turn the tides of battles and have a dramatic effect on combat as a whole. The gunplay in Destiny is solid and feels like it has substance when slaying in PvP or killing mobs. Destiny scales the player levels back to the level of the enemy you are fighting. This helps keep the grind feeling more like a moderate challenge rather than becoming a god. The Division is a third-person cover-based combat game. The cover aspect attracts those of a more tactical mind and means that group strategies really shine in the shooter. A balanced team will usually feature a mix of the 3 ability trees that can be endlessly chopped and changed to account for different combat situations. Melee isn't a critical element to your combat, as it's mostly used for executing downed opponents. Grenades are essential and are used in more tactical fashion, with throwing arcs indicating its trajectory rather than just lobbing it. Each agent can have 2 abilities active at a time. These can be pulled from any of the ability trees, but do not have the same devastating effect as they do in Destiny. They allow for more thought-out combat and assist in the fight rather than ending it outright. Skill is the main word when it comes to the Division, either in the PvP areas or PvE. A decent player can work through higher level content provided they have the skill and are able to watch for flanking and other tactical moves from the enemy. The gunplay is a bit questionable, however, as it becomes very clear that single shot and burst firing is easily the most effective way to deal with most threats, and the submachine gun doesn't really seem to have a purpose, with most engagements occurring at the medium to long range. However, the shooting itself, once you figure out that full auto doesn't really work, is very satisfying as a whole, especially paired with complementing abilities and grenade choices. Destiny has a level cap of 40 at the moment, but started at 20 when it first launched. After hitting this cap, the players then started to grow their light level, which was capped at 34 by the time the Taken King dropped, which in turn abolished this leveling system in favour for a more specific level 40 cap, and turned the light level into an attribute. This was a combination of all other attributes on your weapons and equipment to give you a score that was more specific than a light level. Once you hit level 40, you can collect XP, but it is collected to provide the player with motes of light, a crafting material and currency that has had a big role in the game since Destiny 1. 40,000 experience is required for 1 mote of light, so good luck with your grinding. The Division is pretty normal when it comes to leveling. The cap for standard levels is 30, which unlocks the in-game content. There are also varying levels in the Dark Zone that work similar to Destiny's Crucible rank. They are gained through various exercises in the Dark Zone itself. As far as difference in level toughness goes, the Division doesn't scale you back for fighting weaker mobs, but it also doesn't give you any boost against stronger ones. In the Division, you can comfortably take on an enemy 1 level higher than you, providing you don't get swamped. 2 levels, however, you're asking for trouble. A snappy aim and quick trigger finger coupled with good tactical play will get you through, although somewhat slower. Destiny has a layered effect, similar to an onion when it comes to classes. They have your 3 basic classes, Warlock, Hunter, and Titan, then all 3 classes have 3 subclasses. These subclasses can be modified to play offensive or defensive versions of that subclass. However, each class has limitations and their strong and weak points. A Warlock, for example, is a space wizard that shoots nukes, comes back from the dead, or vomits lightning, depending on your subclass. The Hunter can cut things up with knives, shoot you with a flaming gun, or explode you with a purple bow. The Titan can blow you up with a ground pound, put a bubble up for you to safely stand in, and also throw a Thor-like hammer at you. Now, while all these sound similar, they are in reality quite different. To sum the classes up, Warlocks are medium damage output with medium survivability, Hunter, all-out damage with little survivability, and Titans, medium damage with maximum survivability. Although the classes can be customized to suit your needs and playstyles, they still remain best at their particular roles, especially in PvE. Classes aren't a thing in the Division. The devs had said from day one that they don't want to pigeonhole players into certain playstyles and roles in the group. Each player has access to 3 trees of abilities: medical, technology, and security. These various features for each are unlocked via story missions, but doing all of the missions for one tree won't lock off the others. You can build an intel gathering sniper with a turret for close combat, or a shield-toting medic, and even a grenade-slinging, shotgun-wielding madman spreading wildfire through the streets. The choices are endless. Of course, the standard 1 tank, 1 healer, and 2 DPS groups will likely be effective in the tougher content. The point is that all of those roles can be switched around at will. Assisting with the abilities are 2 more areas with the same trees: talents and perks. Talents provide unique combat enhancement. For example, the talent Precision increases the headshot damage by 25% after being triggered by the first headshot of a firefighter. Perks are modifiers that passively affect gameplay without the player activating or triggering them. For example, the soda perk, which increases the effect of the soda consumable by 10 seconds, or the medkit perk, which allows the player to carry 1 extra medkit. When used in the right combinations, the player can make whatever class they choose to. In Destiny, the player is given 16 different equipment slots to customize and upgrade their playstyle. 3 for weapons, 7 for equipment, 1 for armor colors, 1 for the character's banner, 1 for emotes like any good RPG, 2 for vehicles, and of course, 1 for the horn on said vehicle. Gear and weapons are acquired through various means in Destiny, the 2 most common being random drops from mobs and purchase from a vendor of some sort. They are the standard types being common, uncommon, rare, etc. These items will have a nice little description about them, or some cryptic phrase. The customization on gear in Destiny appears broad but is surprisingly limited. Each item has different upgrades that you can unlock through earning XP while having the item equipped. Once unlocked, you have to pay with the appropriate materials to buy that particular upgrade or feature. After your first 10 pieces, you realize it's all quite the same, and you find the right perks that complement your playstyle. This is about as in-depth as crafting goes in Destiny, excluding the few quests that require you to gather materials for this reason or that, and becomes rather tedious after you get to your 3rd character. The Division players have 9 equipment slots to play with, not counting appearance gear. It consists of 3 weapon slots, primary, secondary, and sidearm, then 6 equipment slots, followed up by the mod slot, which stores all of the mods for your weapons, and the armor mod slot, which surprisingly gives you mods for your armor. And finally, the contaminated gear slot. Much like Destiny, the gear is separated into its level of rarity, and the best rewards are earned from the most difficult feats. The Division, however, makes it very clear that your drops are quite dependent on the strength of the enemy you're fighting. This could lead to the endgame being quite the grind, with the best gear held by only a few mobs. The most interesting aspect of the Division gear is the contaminated equipment, which is only obtainable in the Dark Zone. Once a piece of gear is retrieved in the Dark Zone, the player cannot leave while carrying it. The player must extract it in order to decontaminate it for use. As for crafting in the Division, you can actually fabricate weapons and gear, provided you have the right materials. There are a wide variety of craftable things, from gear to weapons, to mods for your weapons, and for your armor. The mods that you find or craft are the Division's answer to Destiny's equipment upgrade system. Mods for weapons can be equipped or unequipped at your leisure, and weapons can be stripped entirely when you want to try another gun. The Division does a good job in letting the player feel like the choices are endless, with deconstructing an item being the only permanent action that can't be reversed. This leads on as a common theme throughout the game, especially in the customizing of your character. For any RPGs, and especially an MMORPG like Destiny, the endgame content is a biggie. With the come about of the Taken King, the endgame content has come thick and fast, with several raids and high-end PvP content in the form of the Iron Banner and Trials of Osiris events. The raids consist of teams of 6, working through instance encounters where the teams must navigate puzzles, trash mobs, and mini-bosses to defeat the big bad boss at the end of the mission. These are where the best game rewards are found, and many hours have been spent trying to conquer these raids. Since launch, only a surprisingly few of the wider community completed all of the raids, as finding groups to help you through isn't the easiest thing to do. A lot of people turn to the high-end PvP, like the Iron Banner, an arena with normal game modes but all level and gear advantages enabled. If the Iron Banner isn't running, many people find themselves in groups of 3 to compete in the Trials of Osiris PvP event. This elimination-style tournament holds king in the community status. Destiny 2 is set to be released later in 2016, and maybe Bungie will again shake things up in this mammoth franchise, especially for in-game content. The notoriously loose-lipped Ubisoft has kept it very tight when it comes to in-game content for The Division. All we know so far is that there will be an 8-player raid released 2 weeks after launch for players of level 27 who have completed at least 2 of the major storylines, and it will apparently be set on Rikers Island. There has also been news regarding the size of the map. It should be increased in the upcoming DLC packs, Underground, Survival, and Last Stand. However, there isn't much information on the content of this DLC or the prices, but it's safe to say that there are no microtransactions in The Division. An interview with Julian Garrity, the game's creative director on Segment Next, suggests a Destiny-type situation where the community consumes the content quickly, then moves on to the PvP, which he said will be a major feature in the end game, especially with the Dark Zone rank cap of supposedly 99. We will have to wait for launch for more information on the in-game content for The Division. Finally, after I started researching for this topic, I put out a poll on Bungie and Ubisoft's forums on who will be moving to The Division and who will be sticking with Destiny. The overwhelming majority said that they would be picking up The Division, with some commenting on Bungie's lack of content. The beast that is Destiny may have met its maker in The Division, only time will tell. Let me know which one you'll be playing in the comments below. Please like and subscribe. I'm your entertainer Vullgaren. Thank you for watching.